Hey folks, welcome today to UFC 118, and today we feature Mr. Jesse Brown, who's going to give us a little input about the upcoming fight between Randy Couture and
James Toney.
And the first question I'm going to ask Jesse is, what is your general impression of the upcoming fight between James Toney and Randy Couture?
Well, I don't really like this fight. I don't like the way it's being billed as boxing versus MMA. This is just one example, so it's not really fair to say one or the other is superior based on the outcome of this fight. But you've got two guys kind of in their twilight years, a little bit older, but veterans of their sport, respectively. You know, you might say they're both Hall of Famers. Randy Couture is definitely a Hall of Famer, and you're taking one of the best MMA guys in the world, putting him up against a very talented boxer. But the problem with that is that the boxer doesn't have any real long-term training and preparation for the sport of MMA, and Randy Couture, who has been doing it for so long and so experienced. So the problem is that you take a guy, a veteran, a respected fighter like Randy Couture, and you put him up against boxer James Toney. You got a lot of pressure riding on Randy to represent, but also at the same time, if Randy isn't able to live up to the expectation or perform the way people want him to, if he doesn't win per se, then you know, people can argue and say that MMA isn't as good as boxing. Boxers are superior to MMA fighters, which isn't true, and it shouldn't be used as the #1 example or the biggest example. But I don't like how these guys match up. I don't think it's quite fair for Randy, because he's kind of prone to being knocked out, and I believe it would be better to put Toney in there against the younger, stronger fighter, someone who might be able to withstand a heavy blow. Well, anybody who takes a direct shot from Toney is going to be knocked out, but certainly a younger guy will be able to handle himself a little better against Toney. But anyway, having said that, it is epic, and it will be very exciting to see.
Have you read up on James Toney's career? You know, how many fights he's fought, and how long he's fought?
He has a very, very good record. Lots and lots of knockouts. I don't remember the exact number, but there's been very few times that he's been beaten, and overwhelming amount of knockouts compared to his losses. I don't think he's ever been knocked out. I could be mistaken, but he definitely brings a very nice resume to the picture.
What do you think Randy's game plan will be when he's fighting this powerful boxer?
Randy's game plan has got to be to get this guy on his back. He needs to get in there close, close the gap, get real tight with him, control his wrists, control everything. Maybe land a few elbows, forearms, and push him up against the cage so he can't move. Basically just limit and control James Toney and put him on his back and work strikes, ground and pound.
Has Randy ever fought anybody with such a powerful guy with his fist and of this caliber?
No, not of this caliber. You know, you could argue, say that Brock Lesnar has a very powerful fist, or he can knock you out easily, and that's true, but he's not the trained and as technical as James Toney. He's not as experienced. I mean, James Toney not only is strong, he's fast, and he's got the technical skills, the knowledge of how to box.
You mentioned you don't think it's fair that they would put James Toney, who is an accomplished heavyweight fighter, up against somebody who is not so trained in fighting. I kind of agree with you. Was it just the money motivation thing that they did this to make a lot of money?
No, I don't think it was about the money. Really, James Toney wanted this fight for himself. And what I was saying is that it's not that James Toney is outclassed by Randy Couture so much. is that Randy Couture is going to have trouble with James Toney. Even though Toney, you know, he doesn't have the preparation, the training that an MMA fighter needs to go up against somebody like Randy Couture. What I was saying is that Randy is at a distinct disadvantage because James Toney is so powerful, his knockout power, and with Randy being the age he is, he's a little bit fragile and his reflexes aren't as good as the younger guys would be, so that puts him at a big disadvantage.
Did they give Randy Couture a choice in this fight, or said this is who you have to fight? Did they ask him if he wanted to fight the guy, or?
Yeah, I think Randy wanted to fight him. When they asked him, he wanted it.
So it'd probably be a pretty good purse for Randy if he comes through and wins this fight.
Definitely. Randy always gets paid very well.
The backside this, or the downside, is that Randy could get seriously hurt, and possibly in his fighting career here too.
No, I don't think he could get seriously hurt. Nothing permanent.
Okay, well I see that then. How will Toney handle Randy's clinch?
It's going to be really tough for him. I think he's going to rely on his strength and just push Randy away as best as he can, any way that he can. He's probably used to a little bit of clinching and boxing and knowing how to cover himself up. You can use your knees to kind of get your opponent away from you. If he uses those techniques, he'll stand a chance. He'll be able to survive the clinch. But you really shouldn't be worried about the clinch as much as the ground game. He doesn't want to get on his back, because on his back it's going to be quick and it can spell disaster.
How do you see this fight proceeding, and how do you think it's going to end?
It's tough to call because it's such a high risk for Couture. He could get knocked out at any time. If Couture is successful at getting in close with Toney, then it's all about Toney being able to resist a takedown. Whether it's being strong on your feet and not allowing Randy to get a trip, or just being strong at wrestling overall and grappling. So it's up to Toney. I don't know. I don't think he has much of a game on his back. If he gets on his back, I'm considering him out. But that's the way I predict it's going to go, is that eventually Couture will get the takedown and get the full mount, get on top of Toney, pound him out. Or if Toney flips over and tries to get off his back, Randy's going to be able to get the choke really easily, rear naked choke.
What do you think the odds are? Who do you think will win, and what do you think the odds are that you know, Randy will win, or the percentage-wise, or Toney will win?
Well, I think because it's Randy's playing field and he's had such experience, that you got to give the edge to Randy. It is his game. He has more skills to use, more of a variety, and that's why you got to give him the advantage percentage-wise. I'm not sure, maybe say 70% Randy, something like that. It's tough to call, real tough.
Kind of a big. Do you think this fight will have a pretty big draw? Do you think they'll make a lot of money off this fight?
Yeah, definitely, because James Toney brings in a lot of boxing fans. You know, he's a heavy hitter and a big name.
Have you heard many comments from other people that have talked about this fight? You're up to 9:03 now, 9 minutes.
Not a whole lot. I've heard a lot of back and forth between boxing fans and fight fans, MMA fans. People are constantly telling me, don't underestimate Toney. I'm not underestimating him at all. Maybe other people are. But at the same time, don't underestimate Couture. It goes both ways, you know. It's hard to tell. It's a close one, but boxing fans want to brag, and MMA fans, obviously, they want to defend their sport. So there's a whole lot riding on it.
Well, we thank you, Jesse, for the fight, and we hope that our best man wins.
You bet. Thank you.